Greetings, dear friends. The last time we were together, we were looking at the story of the 12 spies. How Moses sent, they were at Kadesh Barnea, and Moses sent the 12 spies into the land to spy it out. And after 40 days, they came back, as you remember, gave a report. 10 of the spies brought back a bad report. They said there are giants in the land. There are fortified cities in the land that we could never overcome. There's no way we can do this. But Joshua and Caleb had a minority report, and they said, yes, we can. God has promised it to us. God will be with us, and those people will be like bread. We'll just consume them. But the people chose to believe the majority, and God said, fine. This people has not believed me these 10 times. None of them that left Egypt, that were 20 years old when they left Egypt and older, are going to go into the promised land. They're all going to die in the wilderness. You're going to wander in the wilderness for 40 years until that whole generation dies. But he said this about Caleb. Now, you know, there's a lot written in Scripture about Joshua, not so much about Caleb. But what is written about Caleb is quite encouraging. God said this about him, but my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land in which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. So let's jump ahead 45 years. They're in the land, they've crossed the Jordan. Joshua's divided up the land south, north. They're conquering all those peoples of the south, and then their army will move to the north and do that. They didn't have enough people to conquer the whole land all at once, and so they broke it up into south and then north. Well, Caleb came to Joshua when they were working on the south, and he said this to him. He said, I was 40 years old, Joshua, you remember when we went to spy out the land? And you remember how our fellows brought back a report that made the people's heart to melt. But he said, yet I followed the Lord my God fully. And Moses swore to me on that day, saying that the land that my foot had trodden, that I would inherit that with my descendants. And so here I am, standing before you, 85 years old today. And I'm as strong today for battle, for going out and for coming in. And if God is with me, give me that hill country, Hebron, and I'll go in and we'll wipe out those giants. And so God blessed Caleb. Joshua blessed Caleb, and he said, go for it. So Caleb went up and he conquered that city where the Anakim were. Now Anak was a giant, and that's where the name Anakim came from. And his father Arba was a giant, and the city that Caleb conquered carried the name, Hebron's former name was Kiriath Arba, and Joshua went in there and wiped them out. And they had other cities to capture in that area. And Joshua said, there's this other city here, and I'm going to declare today, any of you in my clan that capture and possess that city, I will give my daughter as a bride to that person. So a young man by the name of Othniel, who happened to be Caleb's nephew, he conquered that city, not by himself, but with his fellows. And so he came and was able to receive his prize. Now, if you've gotten into the book of Judges, chapter 3, you run into this judge by the name of Othniel. It's one and the same person. It seems that faith, belief in God's promises, and bravery were family traits in this particular family. And so what I find interesting about Caleb, although not much is written about him, there's this threefold epithet, you might say. God was able to say that Caleb followed him fully. Moses was able to say that Caleb followed the Lord his God fully. And Caleb himself was able to say, I fully followed the Lord my God. And back years ago, when Carol and I were first going out as missionaries, we chose that verse, Joshua 14, verse 9. Surely the land on which your foot trodden shall be your inheritance. He said, my brothers caused the people's heart to fear, yet I wholly followed the Lord my God. Joshua 14:8. And so that has been our prayer and our kind of life's verse, that we would wholly follow the Lord our God. And you know, it hasn't become any easier since we've retired. We live in a culture that is godless. Just about everything you see on television is godless, and radio included. Our schools are godless. In many cases, they're anti-God. And so there's a spiritual battle going on. And then we have Satan. He brings attacks against us. And then we have our own flesh. And so the only way that we're going to be conquerors of the giants in our lives is that we wholly follow the Lord our God. And that continues to be our prayer. And I would challenge that that be your prayer as well, that you would wholly follow the Lord your God. And we don't see that anyone's going to write any books about us. And maybe you're the same as us in that regard. But if even one person could say, you know, so-and-so followed the Lord his God fully, I would be happy with that. And I imagine you would be too. So God bless you.